Have you ever looked around your friend group, your workplace, or maybe even your family and wondered why certain people just naturally gravitate toward each other? Like, why do some groups lift each other up while others just seem stuck in an endless cycle of negativity? Well, today we're diving into a fascinating explainer on exactly why we associate with the people we do. And we're getting this straight from the teachings of the Buddha. Let's jump right in and see how this ancient wisdom perfectly maps onto our modern social dynamics.
It all starts with this really profound core premise. Beings associate with each other by their elements. Now, I know at first glance that might sound kind of mystical or abstract, right? But it's actually incredibly practical. Think of it as the ancient equivalent of saying birds of a feather flock together, only it goes way, way deeper than just sharing hobbies or liking the same kind of music. We're talking about a fundamental magnetic pull between human beings based on who they truly are at their core. To really wrap our heads around this, let's look at a real-world example.
Section 1. Scene at Vulture Peak. So, picture this. Imagine standing on this mountain observation point. The Buddha is looking out over the landscape, and he's pointing out this live, visual demonstration of social sorting happening right in front of his eyes. There were several famous monks pacing back and forth, walking in meditation, and they were naturally sorted into completely distinct groups. You had Sariputta walking exclusively with his followers. Right nearby, Moggallana was walking with his own distinct group. Kassapa, Anuruddha, Upali, Ananda, each of these highly distinct personalities had naturally formed their own isolated little clusters. Even Devadatta, who is famously known in the texts as a bit of a troublemaker with a pretty poor disposition, he was walking exclusively with a large group of his own like-minded followers. It's literally a perfect visual map of social cliques. Nobody assigned them to these groups, they just naturally sifted themselves. But what exactly was the gravity pulling them together?
To explain why these distinct groups formed, the text introduces the concept of dhatu. Now, while that literally translates to elements, in this social context, it means a person's fundamental nature. We're talking about their underlying character or their deep-seated moral disposition. You can think of it as a person's internal compass. It dictates whether their core habits and mindsets naturally lean toward the good or toward the bad.
And this leads us to a super simple but totally unavoidable psychological inevitability. Good natures associate with good natures, and bad natures associate with bad natures. People with a highly developed, positive disposition are just naturally drawn to others who share that exact same high standard. And on the flip side, people with a lower or more negative disposition will naturally seek out others who validate and match their own poor habits.
Section 2. The Visceral Metaphors.
Okay, to make this point completely unforgettable, the source text doesn't just stop at theoretical psychology. It actually doesn't hold back at all. It is unapologetically graphic. It states that just as feces mixes seamlessly with feces, or urine with urine, spit with spit, and pus with pus, or blood with blood, individuals with a poor or bad disposition naturally and inevitably blend together. I know, it's a shocking, super gross image, to be honest, but it brilliantly drives the point home. When toxic people come together, they create a mix that is fundamentally unhealthy and totally undesirable. It's kind of a harsh but necessary reality check about the crowds we might find ourselves running with.
Section 3. The Sweet Metaphors. Now, in stark contrast to those gross elements, the text beautifully flips the script to describe the association of people who possess a good, positive disposition. It beautifully contrasts the previous point by saying, good characters blend seamlessly together in a way that is pure and enriching. Imagine fresh milk mixing with milk, oil with oil, clarified butter mixing with clarified butter, and my personal favorite, sweet honey blending perfectly with honey, or sugarcane juice mixing with sugarcane juice. When people of high moral character, good effort, and wisdom come together, there's no friction. They just blend perfectly, creating an environment that is nourishing, sweet, and ultimately incredibly beneficial to everyone involved.
Section 4. The Consequences of Association.
So, we know like attracts like, but why does this actually matter so much? Well, the source text makes it crystal clear that the impact of who we choose to blend our lives with has dramatic, undeniable consequences for our own personal trajectory. It warns that by associating with the wrong crowd, our internal flaws, our bad habits, and our defilements will literally multiply rapidly. The metaphor used here is a dense forest. Think of a jungle that's been left completely unchecked. It just becomes overgrown, tangled, and totally impenetrable. When you spend time with people of a lower disposition, your own bad habits act exactly like those wild trees, growing unchecked until they completely take over your life.
And this brings us to what might be the absolute most powerful image we're looking at today, the sinking log. The The source text warns that if you cling to a lazy person, someone with really bad effort, it is like holding onto a tiny, inadequate piece of wood right in the middle of a vast, churning ocean. You might think they can keep you afloat, but the reality is the exact opposite. The text explicitly states that eventually, even a genuinely good person will be pulled down and sink if they rely on a lazy or toxic individual. You can't save them, their dead weight will simply drown you both in that vast ocean.
Section 5. Choosing your circle.
Understanding this stark reality, that you're either going to blend like honey or drown like a sinking log, leads us directly to a clear, uncompromising directive. First, you've got to deliberately cut off bad associations, specifically avoiding the lazy and those who put forth bad effort. Next, you need to actively seek out the right elements. You should associate with the wise, referred to in the text as the bandit. Spend time with the secluded and noble ones, the Arya. You want to consciously keep company with people who have high, elevated minds. Surround yourself with folks who actually exert effort, who are focused, and who meditate or reflect deeply. By doing this, you are actively choosing to blend your honey with honey.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a vital question. Take a look at your own life right now. Really look at the people you spend the most time with. Are you associating with the wise, elevating your own character? Or are you clinging to a sinking log, just hoping you won't be pulled under? Remember, your elements will naturally align with the elements around you. Choose your circle wisely, because it ultimately determines exactly who you become. Thanks for exploring this with us today.